What if I told you there exists a way to live untouchable, where no insult, no betrayal, no storm of life could shatter your peace? For centuries, hidden deep within monasteries and whispered by monks under flickering candlelight, 10 principles were guarded like treasures. These weren't laws written in stone, but living truths, tested in times of famine, in war, even when kingdoms collapsed. At the heart of this story stands an unlikely guide, a young novice monk named Arun, once the son of a fisherman who lost everything to a raging river. His life became a battlefield of grief, anger, and shame. Yet, through the teachings of the Buddha, Arun would learn to build a spirit so unbreakable, it seemed nothing in the world could touch him. But this wasn't just a journey of serenity, it was survival. Because the deeper he walked into wisdom, the more powerful the enemies of doubt, fear, and human cruelty rose to meet him. And the question is, can 10 simple principles really make someone untouchable in a world designed to wound us? This is the story of how Aaron found out, and why his answer may change your own life forever. Long before Arun wore the robes of a monk, his world was chaos. The river that swallowed his father's boat left him with nothing but silence and unanswered rage. Villagers whispered that fate had cursed him. But within the monastery walls, the elders taught him a truth that shattered the way he saw suffering. Peace does not arrive from outside. It is grown within. At first, Arun resisted. How could calm exist while hunger gnawed at his belly and grief kept him awake at night? Yet his teacher, an aging monk with eyes sharp as lightning, placed a single candle in front of him and said, "The wind can howl, the rain can fall, but the flame only flickers if you allow the storm inside you." This first principle became Arun's foundation, to guard his inner world like a sanctuary, untouched by the noise of the outside. Slowly, meditation turned into armor. Breath by breath, he discovered that the world's cruelty could not break him, unless he gave it permission. Still, Arun's journey had barely begun, and the trials waiting outside the monastery walls were far greater than any silence he found within. Peace gave Arun strength, but strength without direction is like a boat without a rudder. The monastery elders pressed him with the second principle, clarity of purpose. "If you do not know where you are walking," his teacher warned, "even the smallest stone will make you fall." Arun began carving his values into his heart as though they were a map. Compassion over anger, honesty over deceit, discipline over despair. Every dawn, as temple bells echoed through the valley, he repeated these vows to himself, not as prayers, but as promises. The village mocked him as the fisherman's orphan chasing shadows. Yet Aaron held firm, and each hardship, the cold nights, the empty stomach, the endless chores, became not burdens, but tests sharpening his resolve. His resilience grew not from escaping pain, but from knowing why he endured it. This principle became his compass. With every step guided by purpose, even suffering transformed into fuel. But destiny would soon demand more of him. Because once he faced the world outside, it was not hunger or mockery he had to survive. It was the venom of human cruelty. Years passed, and Arun's resilience grew visible. But the world does not spare those who choose a different path. When he returned to the marketplace, villagers hurled insults at him. "Beggar monk, useless dreamer, accursed orphan. Each word struck like a stone. The younger Aaron would have burned with anger. Yet now, standing in his saffron robe, he remembered the third principle. No one can wound you without your consent. Pain is real, but suffering is a choice. He took a breath. The jeers echoed, but they no longer pierced him. His silence was not weakness, it was power. Arun realized that by refusing to take their poison into his heart, he became untouchable. The villagers grew frustrated, some laughed louder, others spat in the dust. But Arun's calm unsettled them more than his anger ever could. He was no longer fighting them, he was mastering himself. Still, life was preparing a far greater test, where words would cut deeper than swords, and where his composure would decide not just his dignity, but his very survival. Aaron's silence disarmed his enemies, but his master reminded him of a deeper truth. Insults are not mirrors of who you are. They are shadows of another's suffering. One evening, after a long walk back from the village, Arun found a boy throwing stones at the temple gate. The boy's words were venom. Your prayers won't feed the hungry. Your wisdom won't bring back the dead. Arun's first instinct was pity for himself. But then he saw the boy's trembling hands, his thin frame, his eyes swollen from crying. This was not hatred. It was pain wearing the mask of anger. Arun bowed his head, not to surrender, but to honor the struggle the boy carried. By meeting cruelty with patience, he stripped the insult of its power. In that moment, Arun understood. Every attack reveals more about the wound of the attacker than the worth of the victim. This revelation became his shield. From then on, mockery no longer felt like a storm. It was merely the sound of broken hearts crying out. And yet, the more Arun's calm grew, the more the world seemed determined to break it. The whispers soon turned into rumors. Villagers claimed Arun was a fraud, that his calm was just arrogance, that he fed on the pity of others. Lies spread faster than wildfire, staining his name in places he had never even walked. For many, reputation is life itself. But Arun remembered the fifth principle. Words may tarnish your image, but they cannot soil your character. True dignity shines through action, not opinion. Instead of defending himself, Arun chose to live his integrity. He continued to serve, carrying water for the sick, offering food to the hungry, guiding the lost with compassion. His silence spoke louder than the loudest rumor. The people began to see that his deeds painted a portrait no slander could erase. In a world addicted to voices, Arun became proof that character is thunder in disguise, quiet, steady, and undeniable. Still, destiny had not finished testing him. The next trial would not come from outside whispers, but from the shadows of his own mind. Even as Arun stood tall against slander, a new enemy crept silently within. His own thoughts. Doubt whispered at night, regret clawed at his heart, and fear sprouted like weeds after rain. He realized that no battlefield was more dangerous than the mind left unguarded. The sixth principle was clear. Guard your mind like a garden. If you water weeds, they will overrun the soil. But if you plant seeds of patience, gratitude, and compassion, your inner world will bloom. Arun began treating every thought as a guest at his gate. Some he welcomed, others he released, watching them drift away like smoke. With discipline, his mind grew fertile with peace, until even despair had no place to root. But tending a garden is not a one-time act. It is daily labor. And just as his inner blossoms began to shine, life sent him darker emotions still, fear and shame, determined to uproot everything he had built. Fear and shame are hunters. They stalk silently, waiting for the moment when the heart is weakest. For Aaron, they came in the darkness of night, memories of failure, visions of being laughed at, the unshakable shame of being the orphan no one wanted. But the seventh principle revealed a secret weapon. Do not run, do not fight, observe. Emotions, no matter how terrifying, are passing storms. By watching them, their power dissolves. Arun sat in meditation as fear rose like thunder in his chest. Instead of resisting, he studied it, the quickening of breath, the sweat on his palms, the trembling of his body. Slowly, he realized, fear was not a monster, but a visitor, and like all visitors, it would leave. The same with shame. It burned his face, but when he observed it, he saw it was only memory, not destiny. Each time he faced these emotions with awareness, they shrank until they were no more threatening than clouds drifting across the sky. Arun was no longer a prisoner of his past, but his path was not just about surviving emotions. It was about transforming every person he met into a teacher. Arun's mastery over fear freed him to see the world with new eyes. Every encounter, even the harshest, became a classroom. The eighth principle declared, every person is a teacher, and every trial a lesson. The kind villagers who offered him food taught him gratitude. The cruel ones who mocked him taught him patience. Even the boy who once hurled stones at the temple became a mirror of compassion, reminding Arun that suffering hides beneath anger. At first, Arun thought wisdom came only from sacred texts and chanting halls. But now, the marketplace itself was scripture, and every face a sutra written in living flesh. By welcoming all as teachers, Arun no longer feared insult or betrayal. Each challenge was a chance to grow. Yet this understanding carried him beyond people. It carried him into harmony with something far greater, the rhythms of nature itself. With every lesson learned, Arun's journey carried him deeper into the natural world. The ninth principle whispered through the wind, live in harmony with nature, accept impermanence, embrace change, simplify life like the rhythm of seasons. Aaron watched trees shed their leaves in autumn, rivers swell and recede, and birds migrate without hesitation. He understood that life itself moves in cycles, loss, renewal, growth, and resisting these rhythms only causes suffering. He applied this to his own existence. Obstacles were like storms, inevitable, powerful, but temporary. By flowing with change rather than fighting it, Arun discovered a profound contentment. Nature had become his mentor, teaching him patience, acceptance, and adaptability. And yet, even in this serene harmony, one final transformation awaited him. The realization that gratitude was the ultimate key to unlocking joy in the present moment. Arun had walked through fear, insult, doubt, and the storms of life. He had learned to guard his mind, see every challenge as a lesson, and flow with the rhythms of nature. Yet the final principle awaited: cultivate gratitude in every moment. He discovered that joy is not found in wealth, fame, or comfort, but in the simple awareness of life itself. Each sunrise, each breath, each fleeting encounter became a gift. Even the hardships he endured now shimmered with purpose, teaching him resilience and deep presence. Gratitude became the anchor for his spirit, keeping him rooted in the here and now. Aaron's life was no longer defined by suffering or circumstance. It was defined by awareness, compassion, and the untouchable calm within. And so the fisherman's orphan, once a boy broken by loss, became a man unshaken by the world. His story was not just about survival, it was about transformation. Through 10 simple principles, Arun proved that nothing, not even life itself, could take away the peace cultivated from within. If this story moved you and opened your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe now to join our journey into wisdom. Hit the like button to show your support and share this video so others can discover the power of inner peace too. Your next moment of inspiration is just a click away.